Dear friends, colleagues, respected guests, I'm really very grateful to Handball Association of Slovenia to be a partner of this business center again. And I would just like to address you with a couple of words before my colleague and friend as well, Jela Benner-Heinacher from Better Finance, the president of European Federation of Investors, will join me and have a presentation of it. So, in maybe brief, a couple of sentences. Since we met, most of you have attended as well the events in World Championship in Doha, when we, for the first time, have been partners of the Business Center, Slovenian Business Center, with great success. And then afterwards as well on the European Championship in Wroclaw. So we are really very glad and honored to be able to continue with our partnership on this occasion as well. And since our international business investor programs are running and existing for over 10 years already, we had visited more than 47 countries, over 90 cities on 5 continents around the world. It's not just strictly business conferences or occasions, because we are trying to find the opportunities as well, let's say connected to sports, connected to culture. Let me remind you that we have organized a presentation and the events to connect business investors as well. Let just mention maybe the Eurovision Song Contest a couple of years ago, and this is at least how we see it, also the great opportunity to establish and boost the business connection among the people representing business, of course, to try to achieve better results, of course. But on the other side, let me not be too long with the presentation of our business investor programs, the Pan-Slovenian Shareholders Association, and let me give some more time on this occasion with special honor as well to my friend and colleague Jela Benner-Heinacher as president of European Federation of Investors, called Better Finance, from Brussels. We are members of this association for 11 years already. And on the other side, of course, she is a director of our sister association in Germany, Minority Shareholders Association, with all the complexity and struggles that we share, considering taking care of the interests of minority shareholders and individual investors. So please, Jela, would be so kind to join me.
Well, thanks a lot for the opportunity to come here to Zagreb. It's actually my first time to Zagreb, so I was very curious, and I'm thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be here. I'm German, I'm a lawyer, and actually a lot of part of my studies I did in Mainz, and Mainz is actually the twin city of Ljubljana in Slovenia, but also the twin city of Zagreb. So kind of interesting to come back to the roots. My second thanks go to the Slovenia Center for the invitation, and of course to Christian, my colleague and friend. He is also on the board of Better Finance, and we work very well together. Okay, when Christian asked me if I would be willing to come to Zagreb to speak on Better Finance and DSW, I was first of all a little bit amazed, because I thought, well, what the hell has the investors world that Better Finance represents to do with the European Handball Championships? But thinking about it, I found out that there are a lot of parallels and a lot of connections between the two. And when I speak of the investors world and the sports world, I see quite a lot of things that we can learn, especially when we look at the professional handball players, the professional sportsmen. What do we see? We see strong discipline, and we see top performance and a high accuracy in shooting. So if we transfer it to the investors' world, yes, we need a strong discipline in taking care of our portfolio. We are striving for top performance, just like the sportsmen do, and of course a high accuracy in shooting would in the investment world be in choosing the right investments. So I think there are a lot of important aspects we can take over from the sports world. Also, if we take a look at handball, we see very strong team spirit, and that's actually also very important and true for our organization in Brussels. We are a lot of European organizations coming together, and we are only strong when we act together and when we fight and stand for the same goals. So this is just like in sports. And finally, what is sports about? It's fair play, it's the fair treatment not only of your own team and the players, but also of the competitors and the opponents. And again, if we transfer it in the investors' world, yes, we also are looking for a fair treatment in the investors' world. As small investors, we just want to be as fairly treated as the strong institutional investors. So a lot of parallels, and I'm very fortunate and grateful that I can introduce you a little bit more in the investors' world, because I'm sure you know much more about the handball world than I do. So I stand here as president of Better Finance. That's the European Federation of Investors, and we actually are an independent organization, non-profit. That is very important. We are independent of the industry. We are at the same time a center of expertise for financial issues, and we are advocating and defending the interests of individual investors, including private shareholders. Our organization goes back quite a while. We were, first of all, Euro shareholders in the very beginning. Then we also founded Euro Investors. And in 2009, we merged the two organizations, gave it a new name, Better Finance, and now we federate about 30 national organizations such as DSW and ZMD. And we actually currently represent about 4.5 million European investors all over Europe. I'm very proud to have Christian, also as a colleague and friend from Slovenia, on the board. He plays quite a major role for such a small organization. He's very present, he's very supportive, and by the way, we should have a look here in Zagreb for a Croatian member. What we need is actually another investor association from Croatia, preferably here from Zagreb. So if you know somebody, you're always welcome. We will start talks with them. Now, how does the structure of our organization look like? Well, I'm currently the president for, I think, the next 2 years, but we also have a board and vice presidents from France, Germany, and Sweden currently. And the most important person actually is our managing director, Guillaume Prasch, who is leading the Brussels office. He is the one that is taking care of our daily business, so he has all the work to do for us. Now, what do we aim for? What do we stand for? We see our organization as a counterbalance to the very strong representatives of the financial industry that we see in Brussels. Of course, we are small, but since we are united, we can be much stronger than a lot of people think. And our independence also helps us a lot, especially at the EU authorities. The EU Commission, the EU Parliament, they are very interested in our expertise and in our opinion on their work. Now, we believe that the financial system exists to serve the real economy and not the other way around, as some financial representatives might think. And we are looking to make sure that there is an optimal allocation of capital and decent returns for the investors. So again, we look for top performance, just like the sportsmen do. Over the years, we developed an expertise center, independent financial expertise in the EU. We are looking for better governance of financial supervision, and we are looking for an establishment of an open, transparent, and effective real economy in the interests of all customers, including financial users. Now, if we take a look at recent successes of our organization, I'm proud to say that in 2012, for the first time, there were a lot of stakeholder groups established at the authorities, for example, at the European Securities Market Authority, ESMA in Paris, and we actually were the first chair of such a stakeholder group, and now we represent we are represented in all of the stakeholder groups at the EBA, the Banking Association, but also at the EIOPA and ESMA. 5 years ago, we initiated a new study, a new research study on pensions. I brought you also a copy along. It's called the Pension Report, and it is actually the first independent research measuring and reporting about the real performance of the savings and the investments in 18 different European countries. And as you can imagine, the outcome of this study is actually every time and every year shocking, because it turns out that the real return after tax, after inflation, and after costs is very, very low and disappointing for all the pension holders in the EU. You see on the left side, that is the book, Pension Savings, the Real Return. I think it's one of our key works that we publish, but we also have other flagship initiatives. One is a report on robo-investing. That's why I try to understand Slovenian discussion on the blockchain things. We also think that in the new world of algorithms, there are also a lot of chances for small investors, especially with regard to advice on investment, because you can take robo-investing advice. It is free for the customers, and of course, it brings also a lot of benefit to the investors. One other initiative which I think is one of the important ones that we still have from the old organization Euro Shareholders, that is the initiative Euro Vote. It is actually one of the first initiatives that we established, and the aim of this initiative is to facilitate the cross-border vote in the European Union from one country to the other. I mean, all of you, when you invest in shares or in any other equities, you probably do not concentrate only on your country. You invest international, just like the Germans do. But what about the rights that you have from these international investments, for example, as a shareholder? Do you exercise all your rights in another country? And I think in most of the cases you will not do. So what we try to establish is to help to exercise, at least as a first step, the vote as a shareholder cross-border in another country. We're not only taking care of the shareholders, we also have a look at the fund investors, and that's why we published a study in 2017 on closet indexing. Might not be such a common expression, but let me explain a little bit what the study was about. The study measured the real performance of more than 2,000 active investment funds, mutual funds, and compared the performance of these active funds to their underlying benchmark, which is usually an index. And again, the outcome was disappointing, shocking, because only very few mutual funds succeeded in reaching their index, their benchmark, and even less were able to be better than the index. We also compared the performance to the exchange-traded funds, which have, of course, significantly lower costs, and very often then the return of the so-called active funds is much lower, and that's why we try to warn a lot of investors, be careful when you invest in so-called active funds. Go on our website, check your fund. You can give in the name of your fund, and the computer, the algorithm, they will tell you in the outcome, is it really an active fund, a real active fund, so it's really worth investing, or is it what we call closed indexing? Is it too close to the index? Currently, we in Brussels, of course, focus on the EU Capital Market Union, which is the most recent initiative of the EU Commission. This is, of course, difficult if you take into consideration that we are facing the Brexit, so we will have the most important capital market in Great Britain that will disappear. So this is quite a challenge for the rest of the EU member states, because we will have to try to fill up this gap and really find an effective and establish an effective European capital market without the United Kingdom. The EU Commission in its paper expressly says households are the main source of funds to finance investments, and that's why this project and initiative is so important for us. We have to make sure that adequate long-term savings are there not only for the real economy, but also for us, the investors. We also look that we improve and harmonize the rules and regulations and the protection for the investors. And of course, we also emphasize on the improvement of the financial supervision all over Europe. And finally, we oppose tax discrimination, knowing that this is a national issue. Excuse me. So what is in the agenda if we look forward into 2018? First of all, we have the reform of the European financial supervision in front of us, which means that all the authorities in Europe, ESMA for the securities market, EBA for the banking sector, and EIOPA for insurance and pensions, they all receive new competencies, and we are just in the middle of such a review. PRIPS and MiFID II regulations, this might not be as familiar to you, but it's finally actually the outcome of the financial crisis with the objective to increase the protection for the investors, to reach more transparency, and to have a better advice to the investors. And the same is true for the called PEPP, P-E-P-P. It's the development of a simple, standardized, and cost-effective pan-European personal pension product. This is currently on the agenda in Brussels. I just had a meeting with Guillaume Brasch, and an EU parliamentarian in Brussels, who is the rapporteur on this new project. This year, also very important for our organization, is the focus on investment education. This is a key issue also in my country, in Germany. I'm sure it's also an issue in your country, because you can only take a good and balanced investment decision if you really know enough about the investment world. Also, we have a strong support for the initiative of the EU on collective redress. This is actually initiative of EU Commissioner Vera Jourova. She is DG Justice, and she will take the Volkswagen case in Germany as a good symbol to introduce collective redress in Europe. DSW and Better Finance, we are strong supporters of this EU-wide class action for consumers, and we believe that the Volkswagen diesel scandal has shown that we do not have sufficient instruments for German and European investors if we compare it, for example, to the US. Volkswagen, as you might know, paid $10 billion US dollars to the US car owners, $2 billion US dollars to the Environmental Protection Agency in the US, and Volkswagen pleaded guilty in US courts. Now, in Germany and in European courts, the outcome is completely different. European car owners so far received €0, also in Germany, and Volkswagen denies any responsibility in Germany towards disappointed car owners and investors. Although if you look at the investors who invested in shares of Volkswagen, they suffered significant losses in the share price. So what we see is a two-class society. You see the US investors, you see the German and European investors, and we agree with Vera Jourova from the EU Commission that this is not the right position. We have to give the European investors also some legal remedies to go against this two-class society. Currently, of course, we still take care of the Shareholder Rights Directive. The directive was adopted in last May by the European Parliament. We see a lot of improvements in the Shareholder Rights Directives for our organization and our members, especially with respect to the identification of shareholders, the communication between issuers and shareholders, the facilitation of exercise of shareholders' rights. Say on Pay will be introduced all over Europe, and we will have more transparency for institutional investors, asset managers, and also proxy advisors. But again, we think that is not enough. We still need further improvements with respect to shareholder rights. For example, with respect to shareholder identification, we would like to have access to the same information as the companies do. So this is what we call fair and equal treatment. And with respect to cross-border voting, which is in our heart in the Eurovote project, we think that voting in general, cross-border also, should be free of charge for the private investors, which is currently actually not the case. Of course, there are also other issues like the nominee and omnibus accounts. We think that there is still a need for a clear definition of shareholder, and we are looking forward that something will happen there. And finally, we think that shareholder associations should be recognized, that they represent small shareholders in listed companies, and that they also have rights towards the company and in our society, which is the case actually for DSW in Germany. Here we have a special provision in our law that shareholder associations like us are, for example, allowed to file claims for their members. The EU Commission also established just recently an expert group on the technical aspects of corporate governance processes. That sounds boring, but it's not. It's actually very important because they are adopting implementing acts which means that they specify the minimum requirements concerning all the issues of the shareholder rights directive. So we are quite proud that we have at least one member in this expert group that will hopefully push the issue forward and still take care of some more facilitation for the shareholder. Now, this was actually briefly an introduction of Better Finance and what we do in Brussels, but allow me also to say a few words on DSW, the German Shareholder Association, where I'm Chief Managing Director. We are a non-profit organization. We have more than 30,000 members. Our seat is in Düsseldorf. We go to 650 annual general meetings in person each year. We have about 75 speakers all over Germany. We are also the head office of 7,000 investment clubs, and we inform our members in the magazine Focus Money that you might know, also here in Croatia or in Slovenia. We are also taking care of investment education, seminars, and we establish specific services for our members. Just last year, we actually celebrated our 70th anniversary. Our organization was founded after World War II in 1947, and I included some of the major milestones that we could reach in our history. But let me go over to the most recent cases. Most recent case might be more interesting for you is again the Volkswagen diesel scandal. And in November of last year, the highest court of Lower Saxony, the OLG Zelle, ruled that an independent auditor has to be appointed to investigate exactly which role Volkswagen's top managers played in the diesel scandal. DSW has asked for this at the general meeting of Volkswagen. Of course, this demand of ours was rejected because of the shareholder structure at Volkswagen. You know that there is a majority shareholder. So we went to court and asked in court for such an independent audit. We lost in the first instance at the Landgericht Braunschweig, but we went to the second instance, which is the OLG Zelle, and we succeeded. In this instance, that's the last instance. And Volkswagen now has to open the books to our independent auditor. For us, to be very honest, is it a very big success. It's actually another milestone in our history. You might remember that so far Volkswagen have a report from Jones Day, but they never published the reports. So there is zero transparency for the investors. And now the special auditor will take a look at all the activities in Volkswagen since 2006, which are relevant for the capital markets. Though this might be an interesting case also for you. Second interesting case in 2017 was the merger between two companies. Linde is a German company, a gas producer, and they merged with Praxair, which is a US company. Now the Praxair shareholders were asked to agree to this merger, but unfortunately the German Linde shareholders, they were not asked. Now DSW believes that the German shareholders also should have been asked. We asked the management to put it on the agenda, they rejected it. So now what we did is we went to court, and we want the highest court in Germany, the Bundesgerichtshof, to make clear that there should be a shareholder approval also for the Linde shareholders. Why is that so important for us? Well, Linde now is a German company with a seat in Munich and also at the stock exchange in Frankfurt and Munich. in the future, after the merger, this will be a fundamentally different company. The seat will be in Ireland. There will be a completely new legal regime, and there probably will not be a quotation at the German stock exchange. And finally, if we take a look at the evaluation of Linde in this whole merger procedure, we believe that the Linde part was sold under its real value. And of course, this is also not a good deal for the Linde shareholders in Germany. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was just a small aspect and an insight in the investors' world in Brussels and also in Germany. I brought you much more information, like the pension report. I also have a DSW newsletter in English, if you are interested. And if you have any further questions, of course, I'm looking forward, and I will be pleased to answer them. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much.